Hi, my name is Avinash, and I am the faculty at Makamotive for Web Analytics. And with me is my very good friend Todd. And Todd is the faculty for Search Engine Optimization, the amazing, incredible field of SEO. And we're going to talk today about a bunch of really SEO and analytics related things. And so let's get going and have some fun. So what is the first thing that we want to cover, Todd?
We're going to do what we track and how we track with links, rankings, traffic, impressions, clicks, visitors, engagement, awareness.
Nice.
I'm excited already.
Wow, my goodness, that seems like a lot. Okay, so why don't I ask you first about the very top end of the funnel. A lot of the work that we do in SEO is connected to links and all this other stuff. So when it comes to the two most important things for SEO, links and ranking, what is your sort of preferred path for going about it?
Yeah, so we have a lot of tools that we use for tracking our SEO rankings and our links for that matter. There's a handful of tools that I use, lots of other videos on those tools. I'll just throw out a couple real quick. Majestic SEO, SEO Moz, who else do we want to do? Raven Tools.
Raven, yeah.
Those are the three that I really like for project management and campaign management for links and rankings.
Yep.
Advanced Web Ranking from Cafion is one for just specifically rankings. So if you just want rankings, not tied back to campaign performance or anything else, that's a good solution. But you really want a lot of tools that you can use as a group. So you want Raven Tools where you can integrate.
Exactly, they aggregate everything, yeah.
And aggregate all that data in one place. So all the things you're going to talk about, we can pull into Raven Tools, which is a beautiful thing, and SEO Moz as well. So that's where it gets really important. We have these metrics, but they're not very worthwhile if we can't compare them to other things.
Exactly, it's the context that you want to add. And with Raven, I noticed they had the Twitter and Facebook buttons too recently, so you can put a lot of data and you get context for your SEO performance with other things that you're doing. So I think it makes a lot of sense. I agree with you. I think those tools are really wonderful at giving you a good idea about rankings and links. And you would primarily get that from third parties, less from search engines.
Yeah, and I'll do a little bit more on the third-party tools, and we have a lot of information. But I want to talk about the Google Analytics side of things for SEO today, and some of the new tools that you just, you know, I've just been clued in on, and I'm like, yes, awesome new stuff to check out. So you can now do impressions, clicks, and visitors. I had everything bunched up into traffic and just said, you can now see impressions in Google search. You can see with Webmaster Central, you can look at your reports and see how many impressions you actually got in the search results.
Exactly. I think that the picture that you can get out of Google Analytics and Omniture Web Trends thus far was all once people showed up at your website. Then you would know things like keyword and how many people came and visits, etc. But the thing that was missing is what happened at the search engine. And so we, analysts, SEOs, would always go to tools like Google's Webmaster Tools and the new improved Bing Webmaster Tools 2.0, now improved with Yahoo information. So congratulations to the Bing team there. And we always had to go there to get the data. But a couple months ago, the team at Google Analytics finished an integration with Webmaster Tools. So in my case, for example, I have Google Analytics on my website, and I also have my profile claimed in Webmaster Tools, and I just linked those two accounts together. So I see a new set of reports in Google Analytics called Search Engine Optimization. Very creative.
Seems sufficient.
And what it shows is information that I'd never had access to in the past. This is very important, brand spanking new. And you get two important reports. The first report shows you the keywords for which you're showing up at google.com. Whether you got to click or not, which ones you're showing up. So you get impressions, which is very cool. Because the top 20 keywords for which I show up have nothing to do with the top 20 keywords for which I get traffic.
Absolutely.
You see, I would never know that. So you get the keyword, you get the impressions, you get clicks, you get average position. And again, this is something you would not available.
Track our rankings through,
there you go.
Through the tool.
You have it now in Google Analytics, for google.com at least.
Yes.
And the last one is your average click-through rate. So that's brand new report. And the second brand new report is for each page on your website. It will show you impression, clicks, average position, and click-through rate. So that's data connected to the activity that's happening inside the search engine that you never had access to. So I highly recommend that people do two things at the very minimum. First, go look at the keyword list for which you're showing up in that report on google.com. For me, like the number 3 word is hope. I was like, what? Well, I do offer hope on my blog, but I'm like, hope, really? And I was surprised, and I went to look at the thing, and of course I didn't get a lot of clicks, but I have a very high position. So look at the list of keywords for which you're showing up. Are they the ones you want to show up for? And are you getting clicks for them? And how many impressions are you getting, and what's your click-through rate? And that really helps you hone in the keyword list that you're targeting, and then where you're showing up versus the traffic you get. And is there a difference between those two things? And if there are pages on your website that are super important for ranking in the search engines, look at the average position, and again, look at the impressions and the click-through rate, and see how that changes over time. Because one of the great things about Google Analytics is it will help you visualize data over time. So you can pick a keyword if you want to pick a page and look at it over the last 6 months and see the data that was
the historical information.
You will, yeah, and that data was locked away in Webmaster Tools. I mean, you could always go there, but it was over there. Now it's sitting with your other Google Analytics data. So impressions and clicks are now available inside Google Analytics. You should use that. So that's the second part of the puzzle. And then the last part of the puzzle, of course, is the thing you mentioned, which is once people do show up as a result of these impressions and clicks, and they show up on your website for keywords and your key pages that you're interested in for SEO, you want to look at the amount of traffic that they got, essentially visits and unique visitors. So in Google Analytics, you can get both of these metrics now. All you have to do is go create a custom report, drag the keyword or page title, whatever you prefer, add visitors and unique visitors and visits, and boom. Now you can know that it was 20 visits on one particular keyword, Avinash Rocks, and all by one unique visitor, my friend Todd. Like, I mean, and you know, you can get this really good idea, because is your SEO strategy targeting, attracting the same people to come again and again, or are you actually able to attract many different people to come to your website? And you'll get an idea about this right away.
And what are they checking out? How long?
Exactly.
What are they checking out? We haven't even touched on bounce rate and length of page visit and everything else that we could touch on there. That's kind of Brian's world, so we'll leave him to conversion and improving the length of stay and improving time on site and that sort of thing. But we have an idea of the what and how of those areas to track now. We know that links and rankings we can track with these tools, and we know how to do that. So specifically to improving your keywords as far as how and where you should start with SEO, we look at something called upside potential. So we talked about this a little bit, and if we see that our average position in Google Analytics is 7.5, and we know that if we get up into the first 3, we'll probably be above the fold and we'll get better click-through rate, and we'll do a little bit better. That's a marginal level of improvement that's very, very quantifiable and very tangible. We can take that back and say, we're at number 7 now, we're getting 30 click-throughs a day. If we get up to number 3, this could likely be 70 click-throughs a day. We're doubling our traffic with one specific keyword, and we know that there's high benefit, there's high cost per click, high transactional or commercial value related to this keyword. That's very market improvement. So knowing that and looking at these things is what we're really trying to accomplish with all the different reporting, with all of our link building, with all of our social media efforts. This is what we're really trying to improve.
Exactly. I think that one of the true crimes, and this is not with SEO only, but across all our acquisition strategy when we invest money, I think it's just absolutely criminal that we never bother to then show the bottom line impact on the company of the work that we do. I mean, we focus so much on these other metrics that we talked about, which are important. But at the end of the day, if somebody's going to cut you a check, as whether they're your client or your boss in a company, they would want to know, well, did you give me a bonus? Like, did our company make money? And that's why, like, I've become a very big fan over time of saying, you know, don't even start thinking about SEO until you've identified any company's macro and micro conversions, whether it's a church, whether it's a for-profit, non-profit, whatever. So I was just working with a non-profit that does AIDS prevention. And we're like, okay, so what do we do about this thing? And, well, they rank very badly, so let's go do that. But I said, hang on a second. Why don't we first identify what our macro and micro conversions are? So our macro conversion was that people would come and become members of our society, so our AIDS Prevention Society, right? Okay. Boom, we tagged that in Google Analytics, we got it already. Okay. Then we said, well, if that's the one big thing we want people to do, what are the many small things people can do? So, okay, so in addition to becoming a member, by the way, you have to pay money for that, right? So boom, there's some money involved for a nonprofit, right? Exactly. Right. Then that you make a donation, that also we start tracking as a micro conversion. You could volunteer for helping out other people or for protest or whatever. Got that. You could sign up for a mailing list. And so again, we increase our influence and brand awareness and things like that, right? There's another conversion. And then you could download a newsletter from the website. There's another conversion. And I mean, I could tell you all 10 conversions we identified. But the great thing is, once Todd, we knew the person who ran the charity helped us understand this is what is important to me. I'm like, okay, now let's go do SEO. Now let's go do analytics.
You can't SEO a site for a business owner or a site owner that doesn't know what their goals are. You absolutely cannot do it. It's absolutely impossible. I can tell them what their goals are. I can be a better business owner than them and tell them. I can come up with some great
I can take over their company.
I can know some great guesses. I have all kinds of guesses for what your goals are. But I don't run your business. You run your business, and you should know your goals. And if you don't know your goals, you shouldn't be worried about what you're trying to accomplish with those goals, and you shouldn't be worried about your marketing because you need to figure out your goals.
Exactly, and now the list actually helps us prioritize which keywords should we focus on first, which pages should we focus on first, how are we going to measure success? Well, before we started SEO, we knew our goals, we knew our conversion rates. Remember, this is a charity. I'm using the word conversion. I could easily do this for Amazon, but I'm not going to charity,
it's really
right?
easy with e-commerce.
Exactly. We're taking a hard example.
Buy a fuzzy red widget, how much money that made you, how much cost you had associated with that, how much the marketing budget was to rank for that keyword. It's really easy. When you come up with other conversion metrics, there's a value to somebody on your mailing list. There's a value to somebody filling out your form. There's a value to almost every action that's one of the goals specific to your website.
Yeah.
But you have to come up with that number.
And now that we have started doing SEO a few months ago, we're seeing the traffic increase. We're seeing all these increases. Not only are we happy with the number of links we're getting, the number of impressions and all that stuff, which is great, by the way, we're now actually reporting to them, look, before we started doing all this work, here's your conversions. And 3 months on, 2 months on, here's how much we have improved. And we can tie it back to the effort that we put in because we bothered first to sit down and identify those goals.
Yeah, you can't be the hero without having the numbers.
Yes.
You just can't do it. If you're flying blind, you absolutely will never be the hero because somebody else will come along and get the credit when they realize, hey, we learned how to track this. So you have to have something to show, hey, when we're doing social media, when we're doing a link building campaign, we're doing any of our marketing strategies, we have to have something to tie this back to. And if you don't have that infrastructure in place, if you don't have the proper reports set up, you're not going to be able to do that. So we get into something a little bit more sophisticated of tracking awareness and engagement. This is a little bit more
bigger.
Yeah, it's not as tangible as links, rankings, traffic, etc. So when we get into that, we want to track the impact of brand, and we were talking about that, and how you track the impact of your brand when somebody searches for you or that sort of thing. And it's a little bit more. It's less quantifiable, but there's certainly an impact there when somebody searches for your brand or looks for you on Twitter or pays attention to you on Facebook. There's not always a conversion goal there, but there is some engagement and branding value. So what suggestions would you have on once you have your infrastructure in place, tracking awareness and engagement?
Yeah, so one is like you could track things that are happening on site, and you could use tools like Google Analytics and Omniture and WebTrends or any one of these tools to identify what an engaging experience on your website is. So maybe an engaging experience is that you watch 4 videos, or you see 3 pages, or you do X, Y, or Z, and that reflects the fact that the person coming has engaged with your website. And so that you can track pretty easily with tools like Google Analytics, Omniture, etc. But there are also
with the tools within that, the time on site,
exactly,
the number of pages they view, what other
so I almost always tell people that you should start with bounce rate, because it is a very tactical metric. It's not a strategic metric. It's a tactical metric, but it says, well, we worked so hard to get the person to come to our site. How many of them bothered to give us a single pathetic click? And to those of you who say that, well, all the information on the page and the person left, my question to you is, how did you make money? If I came to your site, did nothing, and left, how did you make money? If you have an answer to that, 100% bounce rate is okay. Most of us, the answer is that is not possible. You've got to do something. Even if you let's say you come to my blog, you have to click on the link to buy my book on Amazon. That's not a bounce already, right? So you got to do something. Even if you leave through one of my links, I'm making money, right? Boom. But you got to do that, and that's not a bounced visit. So start with bounce rate, and then sort of move along this hierarchy of sophisticated metrics. And the thing that you would want to know is like, you can look at the engagement reports in Google Analytics, and it shows the average page depth and time spent on site, but also it will show the distribution of it and say, well, more than X% of people saw more than 4 pages. Like, wow, that's a great audience. I write 3,000 words a post. So if you're seeing 4, my God, like you.
And if you know that's coming from a specific keyword,
exactly,
you can start targeting and segmenting that audience a little bit more, and
very
giving
easily
them a very targeted message.
You can.
You can say, hey, I see you came from Google for Avinash speaking engagements.
Correct.
And you can give them a very catered page that says, here's where you might find that information.
Exactly. And what I do actually do is, one thing is I'll look at the external keyword referring, but also for my main SEO pages, my top pages that I've targeted to be optimized, I also look at what internal site searches they do once they land on the page. And it actually gives me a really good understanding, exactly to your point. I just looking at a page that showed about business analysis, that's somehow ranked for speaking engagements for me. I don't know why. But I found that when people land on that page from a search engine, they come and search on my site for speaking engagements. So on that page, I am making that more prominent because somehow I got SEO'd. Sure. People want, and it's not about speaking engagements, but I'm going to direct them in the right place. Sure. And so that's very important. So use bounce rates as a starting point, fix that, right? Figure out why people bounce, and we can add a link to one of my blog posts. I have a post on 6 strategies to reduce bounce rates on a website. So we can do that, and then you do time and pages, time spent inside page views per visitor, and you can focus on that as more of an engaging experience if that's a proxy. And then sort of you go into your macro and micro conversions and economic value. The great thing about economic value is actually I know, because I've gone and configured this in Google Analytics for myself as well as my clients, I know the economic value that is driven from every macro and micro conversion. So in Google Analytics, when I look at my keywords, I see all this other data, bounce rates, time, blah, 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 visitors. But actually,
how much money did I make?
Exactly! I have a column at the end, and the metric is called per visit goal value. And while everybody who comes from
the CEO, and this is what the CEO wants to know.
This is exactly right. Show me the money, right? And the great thing is that I care about these other metrics. At the end of the day, I'm not going to be in business if the per visit goal value number is not high or low. And by the way, on that,
if it's lower than your marketing costs.
Exactly. And I can segment it for my brand keywords and my non-brand keywords, my head keywords, my tail keywords, my transactional keywords, my other kinds of keywords. But that value really, really helps me make very smart decisions. There are keywords where I've had to deploy some very sophisticated strategies for SEO, and I've said, Todd charges $10,000 an hour. It's worth it to me. That $10,000 an hour cost is worth it to me because the per visit goal value for that keyword is so high.
Right.
I'm not going to argue and say, you asked me for 10,000.
I can do magic.
No, it's that sometimes people say, wow, you're asking for like $110 an hour. That's like, oh my God, I can't afford it. Yeah. If you're going to make $10,000 out of that $100 investment, you would be stupid not to do it. But you want to use that data to drive decisions rather than your gut feel.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. And there's a little bit of both with SEO. You got to have a little bit of gut feel, but you can back it up with a numbers to a certain point. The gut feel part is the time aspect. How long is it going to take us? And I talk about this a lot, the keyword opposition to benefit. Opposition is where the gut feel comes in. If you look and you do a search for online college degrees, and you say all the sites in the top 10 have at least 10,000 links, or 500 or 5,000 root linking domains. You need at least 5,000 root linking domains to get there. Just show up. Result. So that's basic opposition analysis. And economic benefit, and you have a whole series coming on this, is what I would refer to as benefit value of keyword research. So you're taking your keyword research and what's the cost per click, and that cost per click is your commercial intent, your indicator of commercial intent. You know that online college degrees is worth $20 to all the people that are bidding for it. That's a pretty valuable phrase. Maybe it's to the colleges, maybe it's to lead generation providers, maybe it's to market motive. It doesn't matter who the value is to. You have to figure out what the value is to you, and that's going to be the benefit. So when you look at those two things in comparison, that's what I would charge the big bucks for. That's what I would say, okay, here's your opposition levels. We're looking at what you need, and we're going to look at and create a strategy for what you need based on these opposition levels to find that benefit. And that's the cost-benefit analysis of keyword research. So tying that in with the economic indicators through Google Analytics is going to be some great business intelligence.
I agree. And the thing is, like, if you step back and look at a macro level at this video, right? What we're both saying is, like, don't even touch a tool, pay anybody, call a consultant, unless you've got your macro and micro conversions identified. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there, and you will be miserable, right? You don't want that, and so you want to have that done. After that, if I were to summarize this, right, there are lots of metrics you could look at, but I would encourage you to look at the end-to-end view, which we discussed at the very beginning of the video, right? You want to look at the links and the rankings. That is happening before anybody does anything. Then you want to look at impressions, click-through rates, and position. That's what happens at the search engine. And then you want to look at what happens on your site, which is visits, unique visitors, and outcomes, right? Boom. This layering, you've got to have this layering when you look at your data. But what Todd just highlighted that was just absolutely critical is that we don't think about this oppositional analysis. I really don't think that enough people bother to go in and for their keyword portfolio try and understand what the price of entry is, if you will, right? The 5,000 link you were saying. I'll just rephrase that, like price of entry, that's it, right?
The barrier to entry in the last 5 years for SEO keeps
increasing.
Without question.
And so few people do that. And so you have to do that. And if your SEO is not doing that, it might be a duck, quacking duck, right? It might not be an SEO. So it's important to think about these other sophisticated measures as well when you're trying to decide where to invest money, how much money to invest. And of course, if you had done the very first step that we suggested, the macro and micro conversion, the last part Todd suggested is easy, which is your oppositional benefit analysis. That's just piece of cake. You just do it. So that in a nutshell is the way that you have to think about tracking for search engine optimization. And honestly, the kind of sophisticated strategy that you need to bring, because there's no easy lunch here. You understand these frameworks, you work hard to execute against them, and think of how proud like your mom will be because you'll be so successful. Thanks, Todd.
Thank you. I think that's fantastic. We now have a much better understanding of what and how to track when it comes to all these wonderful metrics and ideas in SEO.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks.